to take a short video because I found it very interesting, because very often we get criticized more by people from our own culture than by people from other cultures. In my previous video, I talked about one thing that I have learned from studying different languages. For me, learning languages is not just about vocabulary or grammar. It gives me a way to get closer to the essence of things. And it also helps me to develop my ability to learn. After that video, I saw a very interesting comment. Someone said that he had been criticized more by people in his English-speaking world than by people from outside of it. And today I watched another video, a French guy who understands Chinese culture very well. He shared a story. He said that his French friend criticized the food he made himself and also judged him for eating too much. He felt quite uncomfortable. And then these two small stories made me rethink the relationship between language learning and close human relationships. I want to talk about this from two perspectives. The first one is this: when people use one shared language to communicate, for example, English, especially when they live or work together, the first priority is usually efficiency. In other words, people focus on clarity. And when that happens, we tend to use rhythm more than emotion. And because we want to make sure the message and make sure the message is clear and understood correctly. And then that's why in many international workplaces, and then people from different countries can work together quite smoothly. They are friendly, they are polite, they cooperate very well. But very often they do not become truly close friends. And a lot of the time, the relationship is based on common interests or common goals, and because they share the same interests. And there is another point. When we are speaking in a shared language, especially the language that is not our mother tongue, we often choose our words more carefully. We don't just let words come out unconsciously. Often there is a filter, and that filter makes communication more accurate and also less emotionally intense. And then the second point is like this: when people speak their mother tongue and live in the same cultural environment, it becomes much easier to hurt each other without even realizing it. And why people do this? And then here is my assumption. I think because people, when we speak our mother tongue, emotion often comes out faster than thought. Words can come out before the mind has had time to process them. So that's why we have similar ideas in both English and Chinese. The sentence is think before you react. And then the problem is everyone has a mouth, and it is so easy to open it and speak. And because speaking is so easy, people often forget how powerful the speech is, how powerful the words really are. So sometimes when we hear something harsh or irrational coming out of someone else's mouth, we probably can look at it from another perspective. Probably that person doesn't even fully know what they are saying in that moment, and they are not speaking from clarity. Probably they are just reacting emotionally. And if we can see it that way, maybe we don't have to take another's opinions so personally every time. And then if we look back, we may choose to notice something. Very often we are criticized more by family members, close friends, or people from the same culture than by business partners or strangers. And then why does it happen? Why is that? And I think because intimacy carries emotions. The closer the relationship, the more emotional weight words can have. Words have the weight. In close relationships, we attach feelings, expectations, and memories to the other person. We share the collective memory. And when conflict happens, people may unconsciously choose the worst words, and then later they regret it. And that is also the moment when we begin to reflect on language and speech more deeply. We realize that in family or communities where people share the same culture, many behaviors are not fully conscious. Sometimes people say they are doing something because they care about you or because they love you. However, in reality, it is not always a thoughtful personal choice. Sometimes it comes from collective memory, as I mentioned. It comes from cultural habits that people have absorbed for a long time without questioning them. And then, depending on the culture we grew up in, we naturally pick up certain words, certain way of thinking, and certain reactions, certain assumptions. And then in one culture, something may seem completely normal, but in another culture, the same behavior may seem shocking, unbelievable, rude, or even cruel. And for example, personal boundaries. Some people think that many ordinary people in China can seem rude and not very aware of personal space. For example, when you withdraw money from an ATM, there is usually a rule saying that the next person should stay about like 1 meter away, and then people should respect that. That's of course they should, but in some smaller cities, people may stand very close to you, and that can make you feel really uncomfortable. But probably they are not trying to look at your password, and maybe just want to make sure they will be the next one, and they are afraid that something or someone else will cut in line. And I think that fear doesn't come nowhere. It comes from a competitive environment, from uncertainty, from a lack of trust, or from the feeling that if you do not protect your place, someone else may take it. So sometimes behavior that looks rude on the surface and may actually come from fear and not intention. So, but I don't say I'm not saying that sometimes and always right. I'm just saying that maybe cultural behavior often has a deeper context behind it, and this is why learning languages is so meaningful, personally to me, because language learning is not only about speaking; it is also about understanding people, understanding emotions, and understanding the invisible logic about us and behind behavior. I think that means a lot, and yeah, I hope this observation can offer you some information and inspire you for your own cultural exploration. And I think that's all. See you in the next video. Bye bye.